If Curt Cignetti from Indiana football and Mike Woodson from Indiana basketball begin to work together, they can become recruiting pros.
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. It is the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. I'm your man, Jacob Goins. I appreciate you being here, making this your first listen each and every day. We are a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more as playoffs wind down. The sport stops sporting like we want them to, but this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Well, thank you so much again for making this your first stop and first listen each and every day. Shout out to my everydayers for making that. So if Mike Woodson from Indiana basketball and Curt Cignetti from the football side, if they start to pair together, I think they can really be a recruiting powerhouse at Indiana for the upcoming seasons. We'll talk about that today. Plus, we'll go over what Curt Cignetti said at Big Ten Media Days as well. He had some fiery comments, man, and he did exactly what I wanted him to. And then as the Summer Olympics begin today, we'll take a look at people who have Indiana Hoosiers ties and ties to the state as well and talk about some sports there in the end. Well, recruiting in 2024, right? It's all about putting on a show. It's all about who can put on the best performance when you get a big name recruit on campus, whether that be for an official visit, whether it be an unofficial visit, if it's one of those big recruiting weekends, right? The invite only type of things. No matter what the case may be, this is football or basketball. You've got to find a way to impress them when they're here. And so much of it, believe it or not, so much of it goes past, and let's just take basketball, for example. If you bring in a high-star, five-star recruit, all right, high-level top 25 player or whatever, yes, they want to know about the program. Yes, they want to know about the coaches. Yes, they do want to know who they're going to be playing with and the type of system they're going to be in and if you can get them to the next level or not. But they also want to know if that school is a place that they want to be at. Is that town a place they want to be at? Is that a campus they want to be involved in? And is that somewhere that they want to spend the next couple of years of their life? Because you got to remember, we're dealing with 17, 18-year-old kids here. They're thinking about their future. And it goes way beyond the basketball court and way beyond the football field for a football recruit. You have to work together and work as a team if you are an athletics department. And what I mean by that is I believe that so many times, because I've seen it, I've heard it, recruits have told me this, they come for a visit, whether it be at Indiana or it be at an SEC school or out of the Pac-12 or whatever the case may be, right? They're being recruited from one major sport and they attend on a weekend with another major sport happening and there's a big win, a big upset, it's a rivalry, whatever the case may be. And they're like, yep, that was when I knew this is where I wanted to be. And sometimes it's for the sport that they're being recruited for, right? If it's a basketball recruit, sometimes they're in person for a major basketball win. If they're a football recruit, maybe they're there for a major football win, right? But I believe that right now for Indiana, they're in the coaches there are in a unique spot because we have a system with Mike Woodson in Indiana basketball, who's been here for a few years. He's established, and he's really ramping up recruiting on that side, with a brand new head coach in Curt Cignetti on the football side. And I believe that if they begin working together and they are like, hey, let's make sure that when the other one's got big recruits, that we put on a show, that we do what we're supposed to do and we make it a massive event. I'm not saying that it should be Curt Cignetti's job to worry about basketball recruiting and Mike Woodson's job to worry about football recruiting, but think about how cool it is and how fun it can be when you have a 4-star football recruit that shows up to Assembly Hall when the Hoosiers beat South Carolina, or if they would have beaten Kansas a year ago, or when they beat Purdue this year, things like that. You see what I'm saying? You can work together and and pair it up to where, hey, you want to come visit Indiana football? Great. Come down for this weekend in February. We'll show you around. We'll put you up in a hotel on your official. But we also want you to join us at the Indiana basketball game. Just so happens Purdue's in town that Saturday night. And then they show up and they see how great it is to be at Indiana. Yes, it's the opposite sport, but the fan base is the fan base. The atmosphere is the atmosphere. The campus is the campus. And vice versa with Mike Woodson and basketball recruiting. Think about what's coming up this September. On September 30th, you've got 3 of your biggest recruits in the 2025 class. That's Trent Sisley, Malachi Marino, and Braylon Mullins. You're telling me that you can't get them to come down here and have a good time, right? To at least try and show off a little bit on that weekend. And that date may be a little off, but it's that weekend, right? In Indiana, you host a couple of home games. Then you've got Charlotte on the 21st and you've got Maryland on the 28th on that Saturday. And so you have so many opportunities here if you're Woody or if you're Cignetti to just kind of cross promote. And if you do it during big events, I believe recruiting can go and get to an all-time high, especially on the football side where, look, it just hasn't been all that great here recently. Cignetti had things to say about that yesterday at Big Ten Media Days. We'll get to that in just a second. But I just feel that it's so important because Indiana's such a special place, right? We love it here and we pride ourselves on our fan base and our atmospheres and our support of our programs. You have to show recruits that because at the end of the day, they want to go play and compete for a place in a school and a fan base that cares about them and will support them through the good and through the bad. Now, Indiana fans, we're some of the most cutthroat people in the world. If you're great, we're going to praise you. If you're bad, we're going to let you know. But we're still going to support you throughout your entire process here. And we have to show them that love that we have here in Bloomington. If you do that, then you're going to get big-time recruits. Basketball, football, swimming and diving, rugby, doesn't matter. You're going to get big-time players that want to come here to Indiana. Outside of course, the academics and the prestige and all that comes with going to Indiana. But I'm talking sports-wise, from football and basketball, you cross-promote, you work together, and you just pick up the phone. Hey, man, I got 3 recruits coming this weekend. I'm not saying Cignetti, or I'm not saying Woody's got to call up Cignetti and say, hey, you better win this game this weekend or we're going to be, you're going to get it. No, I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is, hey, let's put on a show. Let's make this a massive weekend. And I think if you start to work together, Indiana, between Cignetti and Mike Woodson, can absolutely become recruiting pros moving forward. Well, coming up on Locked On Hoosiers, speaking of Curt Cignetti, he took the main stage at Big Ten Media Days. And let me tell you, he had some things to say. We'll have that for you and break it all down next here on Locked On Hoosiers. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you are burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need and the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Welcome back into Locked On Hoosiers. Appreciate you being here again. Shout out to all my everydayers, those of you that are showing up each and every day, even throughout the summer where there's not as much news, but we've still had a ton of fun here. So I appreciate you doing that. If you're not an everydayer, it's really easy to do it. All you got to do, like this video and then hit our logo and subscribe to the channel on YouTube. There, you're an everydayer, you're a subscriber. You'll get notified every time we post a new episode. If you're on audio, it's the same thing. Follow us there, turn on notifications, whatever you got to do so you never miss an episode of Locked On Hoosiers. And a reminder, we're free every day. You will never pay for this podcast. It is free every single day, so you may as well check it out. All right, so yesterday, Curt Cignetti, head coach of Indiana football, took the main stage at Big Ten Media Days. We talked about it on the show yesterday, what I wanted to see, and I think I got it. I think I got my fix of Curt Cignetti from Big Ten Media Days. He had tons and tons to say. You can find the videos. You can go in and watch it online if you didn't get to see it live or didn't see it yesterday. You can go and check that out after you're done here, of course. And I told you, everydayers know this, I wanted to see power, right? I wanted to see confidence. I wanted to see him hyping up his program and really trying to gain some respect back from the people in this conference. And look, I understand that we're picked 16th, 17th to finish out of 18 in the Big Ten, and Curt Cignetti knows that too. He referenced it in his speech, but I'm just looking for a guy like him who is such a figure in college football, who's so successful during his time. I wanted him to command the stage and just have people kind of sit back a little bit, right? And say, oh, maybe this was a pretty good hire. Maybe he's going to do something at Indiana, and just not write us off on everything in terms of football. And I think Curt Cignetti did a wonderful job of that. I've got his whole speech pulled up. There's so many things that I want to hit on here. He thinks Indiana and Scott Dolson and everything like that. He got the PR stuff out of the way, right? Talked about how great the Big Ten is. Now, here's where I want to start. All right, here's what he says to really get this thing going. You ready? He says, quote, "Now I can tell you, normally at these things, I stand up here and we're picked to win the league. It's just usually how it's been. I've been picked next to last twice, which we're picked 17th out of 18 team league. And I get it. The two times we were picked next to last in 2022, we won the conference championship. And in 2017, we inherited an 8-45 team and won 8 in a row and played JMU the last game of the year for the conference championship." He said, "Now I'm not into making predictions. That's just a historical fact." What he's saying there, Hoosier fans, is keep writing him off. Keep disrespecting him and his program. I know he just got here, and the past is not his program, but the present and the future is his program. And he's saying, look, I've been here before. This ain't new to me. Stepping into a new program that has low expectations within the program at times, and especially outside of the program on others in the conference and in the college football world. Look, this ain't his first rodeo, and he wants everybody to know that. And they're big words. They are. Those are powerful phrases and statements to use, especially since you haven't been on the field yet. But he alludes to that, and he eventually does say that in this. Like, look, he basically admits, I talk a big game, and I know I got to show it on the field, but look at what I've done in the past. I believe that I can do it again. And that's what I love about Curt Cignetti, because he's confident. He knows, and he believes in himself. He knows that he can do it. He believes in himself. He believes in his coaches, and he believes in his process. And he mentions that in his speech as well. And he gets into that with some of the questions that were asked later on. He knows what he's doing, and he believes that he can take it like all the other programs that he's been, and he can just transfer it over. Now, you've got to grow it, and you have to expand it, and you have to make some adjustments because of how much of a bigger stage this is and all the other places that he's been. But I'm not telling him anything that he doesn't know, and I'm not telling you anything that you didn't know, because Cignetti's got this. I believe in him. Again, do I think he's going to win a championship this year? No. Is he going to make a playoff? No. Is he going to win the Big Ten? No. But we just want to see some changes. We want to see progress. That's the biggest thing for me. And not just here with Cignetti at Indiana. I say this about all new head coaches anywhere. Right? Especially when you take over a team and a program that just hasn't been all that great here in the last couple of years. You've had good years recently. You've had those spurts. You've had those flashes, but historically it just hasn't been what we wanted it to be. You have to trust the process, and it's going to have some growing pains, man. It is. He gets down here later on. He starts talking about basically, how do we get to this point? What's the transition been like? This is crazy right here. Listen to this. He says, quote, "Day one on the job, December 1st. This was a 3-day hiring process. This happened really, really fast. Day one on the job, I've got 10 offensive starters in the transfer portal and half my defense. Now, I didn't know that. They didn't tell me that, and I wouldn't have told me either. Good move there, Scott Dolson. Like, think about that. He walked in day one. Hadn't even like probably even stepped in. He just got hired. Had 10 offensive starters in the portal, and half the defense was gone. Think about walking into that and how overwhelming that's got to be. But he didn't stress. He didn't worry. He got to work. And they overhauled this roster, and they've brought in tons and tons of talent. Brought in his staff. They've started working on it, right? They finally filled out their roster, and they've got some sneaky good players on this team. I'm telling you, man. He goes into talking about how he likes the talent. He likes the charisma. He said it took a few days, the first few days of practice back in the spring, to get them kind of accustomed to the changes. But he said by day 4, we were good to go. And he believes in this team, and he really likes this team. I recommend you go and watch this speech, or at least go read it somewhere, because it's really, really good stuff. He talks about just having to lay out the blueprint, right? Having to lay out the groundwork of how we're going to do this thing. And look, we're going to make some changes around here because I didn't like how it was ran before. And guess what? That's the right you have. You're the new head coach. He says, I like our team. I have confidence in our team, but we're not where we need to be today. The fortunate thing about that is nobody's where they need to be today because you have so many new players and so many things on the table in terms of August practice that you've got to improve on in terms of consistency and performance. He goes on. So look, he's telling you like it is. He's honest. I like that. That's how I do it. He's telling you he likes his team and he believes in them, but they're not where they need to be. And guess what? They probably won't be where they need to be coming out of fall camp, coming out of fall practice. They probably won't. And you've got those first couple games to kind of get yourself going a little bit. And here's where I want to end it right here before we get to some of the questions that he answered, because there's a fantastic quote in just a minute. He says, now, I've kind of had to speak a big game taking over a job like this because we had to wake some people up and create some excitement. And after all, this is the entertainment business. Excited to be here. We have 8 home games. We have a great schedule. Can't wait to get going. How about that? He says, I've had to speak a big game because we had to wake some people up and create some excitement. And my everydayers know this. If you've been listening to the football segments on this show, I've told you that. I've told you that he has sparked excitement. I've told you that he has gotten some people off their you-know-whats and bought into this program, whether it be money, support, facilities, doesn't matter, right? He is turning things around already on the football side. And the quote I want to get to, all right, he comes out swinging now. He comes out swinging. It's a question about recruiting and NIL and all of that type of stuff. And here's the middle part of this quote. He said, somebody asked me, how do you define success at Indiana? He goes on to say, I was like, well, we want to be the best. I mean, you don't bring your kids up, Johnny. I want you to be the 4th best. I want you to be the 10th best. BS. And he used the whole phrase. We want to be the best. So when I talk about no self-imposed limitations, that's what I'm talking about. That's the mindset you have to have. I don't care. Some people will laugh at it. Some people will make fun of it. Some people say, really, you truly think you're going to win at Indiana and win championships? He believes it. He believes it. And I'm going to leave you with this. Do you want a head coach that steps into a program like this where they're like, well, man, it hasn't been successful for a long time. I guess we'll come in and just see if we can, let's see if we can get some wins, maybe make a bowl game, see if I can survive. Or do you want a coach that's going to step in who has won championships everywhere he's been, who has a process that he believes in, who is stepping in and saying, hey, this isn't going to fly. I'm changing this narrative around. You're going to buy in and be excited about it because we expect to win games and compete for championships. Which coach do you want? And I'll leave you with that. Coming up in our final segment on Locked On Hoosiers, we'll talk the Summer Olympics as they get going today. Lots of ties to the Indiana Hoosiers and to the state itself. We'll talk about that and wrap it all up here on Locked On Hoosiers. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by FanDuel. Look, I love sports, and I love them so much that I just never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games, and the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. Thankfully, you do have the Olympics right now. You still have Major League Baseball, and hey, college football is right around the corner, ladies and gentlemen, so just hang on. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want them to. All I have to do is open up the app and dream up bets anytime that I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Final segment here on Locked On Hoosiers. Again, shout out to the Locked On Podcast Network for making this show free and available to you each and every day. If you're looking for your second watch, your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On College Basketball and go check out Locked On College Football. Okay, those guys all do a fantastic job. They break down the biggest news, biggest stories in those two sports. So go check them out. Locked On College Basketball and Locked On College Football. Okay, make those your second and third listens every day after, of course, your Locked On Hoosiers first listen. We've got the Olympics coming up, and they start today on this Friday. And if my numbers are correct, and I've seen some conflicting things here, so if this number isn't completely accurate, I apologize. I believe there are 40 representatives from the state of Indiana that will be in the Summer Olympics and 24 that are represented from the university, okay, from Indiana for the Hoosiers. I believe those numbers are correct. So they may fluctuate here and there, but really, really neat to see the fact that you've got so many different athletes that compete all over the world throughout these 4 years, and then they come together for the Paris Olympics. And, you know, it's really exciting. I like the Olympics. I do. I look forward to it. It's something that I grew up watching every time it came on, right? Summer every 2 years, the winter every 2 years as well. And for Indiana itself to have so many different athletes, right? You've got volleyball, diving, cycling representation, track and field, swimming, tennis, climbing. I mean, just so many different sports that are represented for the university, but then also the state as well, which I think that's really, really neat. I'm asking you just for a little bit of fun here at the end of the show. Do you like the summer or the winter Olympics better? I feel like Americans typically like the summer ones better. I feel like those get a lot more hype than the Winter Olympics do. Look, I like the swimming and the track and field and I even like the diving sometimes. You know, summer's pretty cool. It is. Basketball, of course. I love the basketball. And Tyrese Halliburton will be competing on Team USA's roster. You also have Christy Wallace from the Indiana Fever. She'll be on the women's team or for Australia. So that's pretty cool. I like the summer. I do. But I'm just going to tell you, Hoosier fans, I like the Winter Olympics better. And I feel like it's more of a northern thing up here that more people like the Winter Olympics just because that's what we relate to, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm completely in the dark on this one or in the minority, but I just like the Winter Olympics better. I do. I like the hockey. I like the bobsledding. I like the snowboarding and the skiing and even the half or the bobs. You got bobsled, but then you got the single one. I can't remember what it's called, but you know what I'm talking about. The cross country skiing where they're shooting and doing all this crazy stuff. Like Winter Olympics, or you even have ice skating in Winter Olympics if you're into that type of thing. Like there's just, I don't know. I like it better. I really do. But good luck to all the athletes who are representing the university or representing the state of Indiana as well. Really, really excited for the Summer Olympics. Let me know. Let me know in the comments. Just having fun on this Friday. Do you like the summer? Do you like the winter? What's your favorite events? Which ones are you got to sit down, got to watch? Or do you just not care about the Olympics? Some people are that way, and that's totally fine. You've got soccer in the Summer Olympics too. I mean, there's tons and tons of sports. I mean, I think there's over 50 sports in the Summer Olympics this season in Paris. And so good luck to them. Safe travels back and stay safe over there in Paris. And good luck to everybody representing Indiana and everybody representing Team USA in the 2024 Summer Olympics. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers. Thank you all so much again. I really do appreciate it. We're having so much fun. All right. Nobody's working harder or having more fun than we are, and you're the big reason for that. So thank you so much. If you're on YouTube, like the video, comment down below, and make sure you subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Okay. I've seen the subscribers jump up. So thank you for doing that. I see you. I do. I see you doing it. So thank you so much. All my audio listeners, be sure that you follow, subscribe, notifications, or however you got to do it, because you don't want to miss any of our free episodes right here on Locked On Hoosiers. And a secret, they're all free. So don't miss one. All right. We'll be back on Monday for another episode of Locked On Hoosiers. Until then, Hoosier fans, stay safe, and I'll talk to you later.